Today's reading is actually titled At the Heart of Silence, the Eternal Word. Now, it almost sounds very paradoxical that at the heart of silence is a word or sound which is actually eternal and everlasting and never stops. How is this even possible? But this sound is the sound of silence. And the more we are silent, the more the heart is silent, the more this sound reverberates in our hearts. So, what is this sound? It's the Om sound. And as the Bible says, and as this reading says, that this is the word of God. So, Yogananji said, at the beginning of creation, where did this word come from? At the beginning of creation, he says that God was an all pervading spirit, Brahman, and he was motionless, and he has a thought of creation. This thought is a vibration, and this vibration becomes this whole creation, becomes this whole world. Different frequencies of this vibration is within all of us, has manifested as all of us beings, as all of these objects in the universe. And that is why the masters tell us that all of this manifestation is an illusion, and the reality is this vibration, this divine light, this divine sound, as the reading says, is our only reality. And this is what we need to relate with always. And as we go into the new year, this is a good thought also to keep in mind, that this is an illusion. Paramhansa Yogananda said for the new year that let's forget all the bad things that have happened to us in the past, all the hurts, the pains. We may have done something wrong, all the guilts, regrets, resentments. Let's leave them in the past year. And in this new year, go in with only the good things that have happened to us, the joys, happiness, celebrations that we've had every moment of last year, and all the good that we have done in this world. So when I first read this, I said, I'm not sure how this is going to happen, because isn't it the truth that even the bad things are part of us? How can we just brush it under the carpet? But really, when we think about the Om consciousness within us, this is not the truth. This duality of good and bad, which we keep playing with in this world, we keep giving so much importance to, this is not the reality. The reality is this Om consciousness which unites all of us. But what do? We invest a lot in all the bad that happens to us, isn't it? How many of us think of our body and we say, wow, the liver is working so well today, the kidney seems to be doing really well, millions of cells working. But if there is a toothache, a little tiny tooth, what happens? I'll give you my example. I had a implant coming in, tooth implant, and the first 4 days when I heard about it, I was consumed in anxiety. This was like a mini surgery. They'll extract my tooth, they'll drill this into my jaw, and etc. And for almost those 3-4 days were bad, and almost a month, I was filled with this anxiety of the tooth. And what about the rest of the time? Did I ever think of my body? No. Maybe if we have individual gratitude practices, we could be saying thank you in the morning, like a mechanical thing, 5 minutes, and that's all. But we don't think. But what do we really think about is all the bad things that have happened to us in the past or is happening. That is the reason we water that plant of constant hurts and pains and all the bad experiences that we have had. And what do we harvest? Plentiful harvest of resentments and anger and revengeful thoughts and pains and anxieties is what we get out of it. So much energy we give to all of those things that have happened to us in the past. That is why the masters tell us again and again, wake up from this dream. This is a dream, nothing bad, nothing good. So go in with all the good that has happened to you in the past year and forget the bad. Of course, we learn from the past, we learn from what has happened, but that's momentary. We can learn that and we can move on and not stay in those guilts and resentments. So for our new year, also we can have that resolution. As Yogananji said, forget all that in the past. Let it be in the past. And stay with all the good that we are capable of, that we have done in the past. So, a lot of us who are on the path of Kriya and have managed to reach level 3 have learnt this technique of Om. And we learn how to hear this sound of Om within our bodies. And Swamiji says that once we hear that sound, we become so absorbed in it that our body consciousness starts to slip. Our body dissolves into the sound of Om. And then what happens? Slowly we are able to hear that sound of Om not just within, but within all of creation. And we start to realize that oneness with all of creation. And we realize that that ego consciousness which keeps us separate, that Maya, that illusion, that we are all separate, that starts to go away from us. Because that is just an illusion. It is not the essence of us. It is not the reality. So we had this choir for Christmas. I think you all must have attended, and we all had that. And the change was that I took part in the choir this year. And thanks to the patience of Dayaji and all the choir members, I can say that officially I am part of Ananda Delhi choir. But I am under no illusions of my singing ability. I don't think I can even understand when I'm going wrong, really. So, we all have occasions here in India with all our family functions. From childhood, we have to sing whether we know or not, right? So, everybody from childhood has told me, you sing very softly, we can't even hear you, be louder. So then when the Dayaji says in the choir, be louder, I'm like, that triggers in me. I just sing too slowly, so I start singing even louder. And then I realize now that maybe I was a bit too loud and I don't even realize that, because my whole time is consumed in the choir, was consumed in the choir, just trying to listen to my own voice. Am I loud enough? Am I in rhythm? Am I doing things right? And you can see where that's going. It was just about me and my voice. And then the IG said, let's get into this circle and let's hear each other's voice so we can blend it together, and that creates harmony, that creates a melody, right? So when that happened, it changed for me, really. So I suddenly started going beyond myself and listening to the others and trying to blend my voice with them. And then that changed, because the anxiety, the fear of that sense of separateness, that it's only me, that egoic, that anxiety, fear of judgment, that started to change. And I heard the others and I realized what a beautiful sound this is. And I actually started enjoying singing in the choir. I don't know about all of you, but I did start enjoying singing in the choir. And there's a reading from, there's an excerpt that Swamiji has written from Awaken to Super Consciousness, where he talks about this blending into the Om of creation. Imagine a choir composed of every atom in the universe, each one an individual, but all of them singing together in blissful harmony. In your own mind, join that mighty choir composed of all life. Determine from today on to sing in harmony with the universe. Don't impose on the great anthem of life your little wishes for how you want the music to sound. Unite your notes to that infinite sound. The more you do so, the more deeply you will know yourself to be an expression of the soaring anthem of infinity. So, staying in that divine vibration of sound, of Om, of light, what happens to us? We start to unite with all of us, with all of the universe. That why does a sense of separateness cause anxiety? Because I am separate from that person, and that person now is capable of hurting me. This universe is capable of hurting me. But the minute we start to unite with everybody, then that sense of protection comes, security and comfort comes. And the masters say that Om brings us this sense of comfort, this sense of protection, removing our anxiety, removing all our fears. In this book, Om, the Melody of Love, which has been written by Naya Swami Bharat, an amazing, very beautiful book, he gives an incident about how this Om actually physically has protected the disciples. One incident he tells us is about three women who went from Ananda village who went backpacking. And he says that when they were backpacking, there was a storm in the high mountains. They got lost, maybe, or they were caught in the storm, and there was fierce lightning, there was fierce rain. And they were a little scared because they had fear of hypothermia, they had fear of lightning. If they took protection under the trees, the fear of lightning was there, and they didn't know just what to do. Then suddenly, one of them started chanting Om. And as all of them joined her, they started to feel this bubble of protection physically around them, this bubble of light protecting them. And then what happened? When this feeling of this Om light protecting them came, they were able to watch that thunderstorm and actually enjoy that fierce glory, the fierce, the thunderstorm, the lightning sent by God, like a show. And after 20, 30 minutes or so, it stopped and they happily went on their way. And there are so many stories of disciples reciting just that, how in a troubled situation, they started to chant Om and they felt this bubble of protection. And they said that we know that nothing can harm us if we are in that consciousness of Om. So as we go into this new year, let's go with this consciousness of Om and let's forget all of this illusion that has surrounded us in the past year and emerge from that and go into this new year with a lot of positivity, remembering all the good that has happened to us and the good that we have done. Thank you. Jai Guru.
So New Year, as we all know, is a time for resolutions. And everybody at some level, we take a resolution. And most often it's related to health and exercise. And I read a meme which said that, my dear fellow walkers, do not go to the park for the next 5 days because it's going to be crowded with the new people who have taken the resolution. And after 5 days, it will be back to normal and we can resume walking as we usually do. But no matter how many times we take that resolution, and we might succeed, we might fail, but no matter how many times we fail, we always want to improve. We want to be a better person. Why should we do that? It's because the divine spark within us will not allow us to rest until we realize that we are unconditional bliss, ever new joy, and that expansiveness within us also manifest as being a better person in outside. And why do we fail? Because the enemy is not outside, the enemy is within. We fight with our own selves. Paramhansa Yogananda says that we are our best friend and the worst enemy. And mind is very tricky. There's a funny story which is shared to tell us how mind works. A group of young monks are on a walk to the river, and one of the monk was distracted by a beautiful girl who was passing by, and he said that, now onwards, if there is a beautiful girl crossing us, I will just say Om, and then everybody should look down and we should avoid that gaze. And then as they are walking towards the river, one monk says Om, and the other monks were like, where? Where? Mind works like that. How are we able to, conquer our own mind with our own mind? The key ingredient here is, or the secret here is to involve God in the process, involve Guru in the process. And as we involve them, we can succeed in our affirmation, we can succeed in our resolution. And New Year is one of, at least in Tamil Nadu, around the New Year time, both the you know Gregorian calendar and the Hindu calendar, when the New Year is there, there is a panel of astrologers who show up in the TV, and they tell about every single house, the signs, how is it going to be. So one of the things they did at the end of 2020 was replay the video which was telecasted on the 1st of 2020 of saying, oh, you're Libran, you're going to travel the world throughout this year. Nobody ever traveled in 2020. So people are anxious. We get anxious how this year is going to be. How will it be good? Will it be positive, and will it be successful? Well, we need not worry about that, because we follow a great lineage of gurus, and Paramhansa Yogananda burnt his horoscope and put the ash in a cover and hung it in his living room, saying, I'm not going to be a slave of my past. I'm going to be the cause, not the effect. And he also says in Autobiography of Yogi, he says that he went to astrologers and asked them to tell him the time which was not auspicious for him, and nonetheless started an activity at an inauspicious time, and he overcame the hurdles and was successful. He said, the power of God given to man is much more greater than any power an inverted bowl can muster. So the key is to involve God. And as we started the satsang with prayer, the cosmic sound of Om can take us from misery to joy, from failure to success. The key is to be in tune with Om. And how to be in tune with Om? We all know that there is a technique given by Paramhansa Yogananda to be in tune by Om, and he stressed a lot in practicing this technique. When people said that outside noise was distracting them from meditating in Om, and then they couldn't hold the mudra long, he even went ahead and made a device. It was a clip with rubber balls on both ends, and he called it the Temple of Silence device, to use for people to use during meditating on Om. And this Om, which is the primordial sound which exists everywhere, is a great comforter and protector. Dr. Lewis, one of the direct disciples of Paramhansa Yogananda, shares a story with us. He says that once he took his small sailboat into the bay, and when he was a little further into the bay, away from the shore, there was another sudden storm which came by, and the waves were high, the wind was almost tipping the boat over, and he thought that he was going to drown. And he closed his eyes and deeply concentrated at the point between the eyebrows, and he prayed to Master. He asked for help, and he could see a great light on his spiritual eye, and he could hear Om, and he could feel a protection, an aura of protection around his boat. And the waves, the high waves, just stopped gradually. It wasn't easy, but successfully he reached the shore. And when he when he reached his house back, he got a call from Master, who was there in Los Angeles, and Dr. Lewis is out on a boat in Boston. And Paramhansa Yogananda said over the phone, well, doctor, you almost got wet, didn't you? And Lewis said, yes. And he said, if you are always in Om, nothing can harm you. And if we are in tune with Om, in tune with our masters, then whatever the new year might bring, we need not be anxious about it. It's like this Super Mario game which you might have played or seen. It's a very famous game in the 1990s. We were used to play as kid. The character Mario, he has to jump over a lot of hurdles and go save a queen who's been present. So there'll be bottomless pits. There are turtles flying, throwing things at him, uh, and it's a lot of task. When you're a kid, it's very interesting to play that. I think it's still interesting for me, but still, but there is at some time, some part in the game, if that Mario character finds a mushroom, he gets a superpower. And for next 30 seconds, he need not jump over the pits, he need not jump over the turtles, he can just walking. He can just run fast. Anything that touches him will just fly away, and I know he's safe. He has this protection for the few seconds. He gets that superpower. Being in Om is like that. No matter what the life throws at you, you have that superpower with you. You have that extra energy within you, which will take you, which will help you to sail smooth in life. Doesn't matter what storm comes your way. And other than not only praying, being in Om, as the story read, Paramhansa Yogananda could see a divine light. If we are practicing meditation every day, and if we are tuning into the divine light, which will show us the way, our new year can be better. I mean, being in tune with God would help us to be a better person day by day, even better than we hoped to be. So being in tune is much more important than making a list of resolutions. And being in tune with what? With God. And the great gurus have given us those techniques, and we can practice it. And our real resolution for the new year is to be steadfast in our sadhana. And if we do that one thing, then rest all of the things would be taken care of.